Tom, come on in. Is this Tom Zarnik, my brother?
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have, as usual, a great show for you today. I just got on to all our networks, so we only have a few to start with on the Substack. Susan Teffrey, Tom Gilbertson, Greg Crumbatch, G. Baird, welcome aboard to our Substack. We have a whole bunch more, but the way this system works, we lose the first 50 or so. All right, let's go ahead and say hello to AVQ. AVQ was numero uno in the chat today, followed by, that's Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York, followed by our beautiful Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia, followed by our beautiful Joanne from Los Angeles, California, followed by the handsome guy named Eric Hayes, our MAGA extraordinaire from the Kingwood, Atascocita area. And he doesn't like to say MAGA, but when you're printing only MAGA misinformation, I've got to call who you really are. We also have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. We also have E2247 from all over the place, as well as Carl Cox. Carl Cox is calling in from Georgia. Help me, Carl. What part of Georgia again? I always forget. Riverdale, Georgia, I believe it is. Riverdale. I think I got it before you even typed it over again. It's going to be Riverdale, Georgia. Anyway, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, everybody. Kent Rigsby, Libby Green. By the way, guys on Substack, why don't you tell me city and state? City and state. I kind of like to get a picture. Right now we have West Coast, East Coast. We also have the middle of the country. We have all over. Let me know where you're from. If you don't mind, put it in city, state, city, state, city, state. I love to call those up. Anyway, we've got a great show for you today. I don't have it on Substack, or rather on Daily Coast, because I just got through doing the last video. And believe it or not, the last video was from a segment of my morning show where one of our regulars, Tom Zarnik, called in about the high prices in the dollar stores, etc. So I am going to play that a bit later. By the way, Marge KJ from Chesapeake, Virginia, Lisa Last Words, McAllen, Texas, Sheila McMullen, Boston, Massachusetts. Anybody else want to tell me where they're from? We also have Paravet just joined into the place. I think I got everybody that I put where they're from. All right, I'm starting with an interview I did this morning with a former Tea Party guy, former MAGA guy. I've had him on before. Today, I wanted to get a feel of where his thoughts are as things have moved on. So, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get into that a little bit. AJ Lofranco is Anthony Lofranco from Laguna Beach, California, just joined us. And of course, Angela Shealy on Substack from Angie Batavia, Illinois. I don't think I've ever heard of Angie Batavia, Illinois. Interesting. Never heard of that place. Sounds fun. Sounds fun. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and play this first video. This is Joe Walsh, Linda Dalton, welcome aboard. Joe Walsh, I want you to listen to this. Then we'll start talking to you on the other side. Okay, here we go. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Welcome to Politics Done Right on Egberto Off the Record as well. Today we are honored to have the one and only Joe Walsh, host of the Social Contract Podcast here on Substack, and a former congressman from Illinois. Our topic today is, are our MAGA friends realizing that Walmart's price increases are funding the tax cuts? After the program, I will release a new article about the true cost and purpose of tariffs that you will want to read, watch, and share. Please tune in as I will be answering any questions you have in the Substack Live message. Good morning. How you doing today, Joe?
Egberto, my friend, it's awful good to be with you.
It's great to be with you. You know, these are some very difficult times, and these are difficult times. Look, you are a good conservative from long time ago. I'm a good progressive from long time ago, and we are realizing right now that there's so much in common that one needs to get together now about to solve the real issues of the country. What say you?
I love the way you put that, Egberto. Look, my former political party, the Republican Party, is now a full-on MAGA party. And MAGA is a direct threat to, democracy, the rule of law, decency, you name it. And so MAGA needs to be defeated. And I think the only way we're going to be able to defeat it is if two people like you and I, a good progressive, a good conservative, lock arms and join together and form a coalition. I think the Democratic Party's got to be a super big tent to defeat what MAGA is.
You know, that is so important. And I tell you what, I came from a school of thought that believed that facts were facts. I'm an engineer by training, and I realized that was my fault. That's not enough. You have to get into the culture of people. You have to go down to where people are at, etc. And that's what I'm trying to do in bringing folks like you on and talking to folks and trying to understand your perspective. That's what I'm hoping to attain. What exactly are you doing in that respect to get not only to MAGA, but to help build that party that you talk about, a big tent where we all come together?
Well, you know, you and I have spoke before. Back in my old days, I used to be a really divisive political asshole. People like me helped lead to Donald Trump. I saw the light after he first got elected. Remember, I voted for him in 2016, and then I very publicly turned on him. So I've really been devoting a lot of the last 7 years to trying to help heal the divide that people like me created. I come from MAGA, so I spend a lot of my time every day engaging with MAGA, trying to help put truth in front of them so that they can see how bad Trump is and how bad it is for America. But then, Egberto, the other thing I work on is I'm very political. I'm on TV all the time. I'm not a Democrat yet. But I'm trying to help the Democratic Party get their act together so that they can defeat MAGA.
I think that is so important. Now, when you talk about actually trying to tell the truth to MAGA, I am trying to do the same. What is your methodology? What are you doing to try to get into that part that seems either indoctrinative or cultural? I am not sure which one it is. What are you doing to sort of break that wall?
Well, the one nice advantage that I have is I come from their world. It's like I come from their family. So I'm not a lefty. I'm not a progressive. I'm not a Democrat. They know that I'm still a proud Tea Party conservative. The nice part about that is they'll listen to me initially. But Egberto, the bad part of that is they consider me a traitor because I'm like a family member who left the family. But I engage with them every day, and typically it's a lot of tough love. Like generally they'll take shots at me and I try to get them to begin a conversation. And always it gets to the point where I try to put truth in front of them. And I found the only way I can succeed with MAGA folk is just repeatedly putting nuggets of truth in front of them until a little bit of a light bulb goes off.
Now, a friend of my program, Politics Done Right, on radio, on my KPFT Pacifica Network station, called this morning and he said, Egberto, while you're talking a whole lot about Walmart and what the tariff is doing to Walmart, let me tell you what I saw. I went into a dollar store, and we know for a while the dollar store has really become the $1.25 store. And he said, he went into the store and it was double the price, and not $1.25 but $2.50. Are your people realizing that yet?
Not yet. But here's the beauty. Trump, you and I know, Donald Trump lies about everything. He lies every time he opens his mouth. He lies, as I like to say, as he breathes. And generally, his MAGA supporters are okay with the lies, and they believe the lies, like I won the 2020 election, or these Haitian migrants are eating cats and dogs. Those are all lies that most of MAGA will laugh at or believe. But here's the tough thing about his tariffs. Trump's going to start lying. He is lying about the economy. About the price of things, about the value of your 401k. Well, when he starts lying about the economy, Egberto, it's going to be a different deal because even his supporters live the economy. So when Trump says your job's going great, well, you know if you still have a job. If Trump says, oh, you're not paying more for that truck or that dozen eggs, well, you know if you're paying more for that. You know how your 401k is doing. So Trump will try to lie about the price of things because of his tariffs, but his supporters are going to realize he's lying much more quickly because they see this. They live the economy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think they're starting? Do you think right now Mike Johnson is really trying to push this bill through as fast as possible because they understand that though that is about to happen, and at that point they're likely to lose it all?
Well, he's trying to push it through as fast as possible because Trump is demanding it. There's also a lot of bad stuff in that bill, so Johnson wants it all voted on and approved. I can tell you, unless things dramatically change, the Senate Republicans are going to break that thing up. But yeah, they're trying to get as much passed as quickly as they can because Trump realizes, well, Trump doesn't, but a lot of the Republicans realize, that the shit may hit the fan later on this year.
Now, while you were in Congress, was Johnson there with you?
No, he got in about 4 years after I left.
So he got in 4 years after, because what I wanted to do is get the flavor. Today, Donald Trump really praised him as being the only person who could get this bill through. And I wanted to know, based on what you know and interacting, whether he is that kind of guy or not. I just couldn't see it.
No, not at all. That's just Trump. Again, that's just Trump being Trump. Johnson's got a problem. The hardline conservatives in his caucus don't like a lot of what's in that big, beautiful bill. And there are some Republican moderates that don't like certain things either. He's got a very narrow majority. The whole notion, by the way, of a big, beautiful bill, I always opposed. You should vote on issues, one issue at a time. This is what Congress always does. They create these Christmas tree bills that they try to pass that have a lot of bad in them. It's a bad way to do things.
Now, interestingly, the people that were, in fact, your constituents that don't necessarily care for you much anymore, I think what you're telling them is, one, they really are going to lose those Medicaid payments, and a lot of hospitals are likely to close in their areas. Two, the prices at Walmart and all these other places are going up. Three, it is very, very likely that many of your constituents and food stamps are going to get reduced values out of those. Do you expect when that occurs that you will join their fold again? You will probably the one that they look for and say, yeah, just maybe you're going to be running for Congress again.
Oh, my God, you are so damn optimistic, my friend. I do believe that when all this bad stuff starts to hit later this year and next, some of Trump's base is going to peel off him, and he will lose Republican support. I have no doubt that's going to happen. I mean, look at this. 3/4 of all federal workers don't work in Washington, D.C. Right. So we're seeing real people getting hurt in communities all over the country. But even though MAGA may wake up, some of MAGA will wake up to this, they will never take back someone like a Joe Walsh or an Adam Kinzinger. I don't see, Egberto, my former party, ever welcoming back or changing enough. I think it's the MAGA party for a long, long time. The odds are much better that someone like me would become a Democrat one day.
Really? So you actually believe that the Republican Party, for all practical purposes, is dead?
I'm older than you, young man. For my lifetime, I don't see the party ever changing. It's the MAGA party for good.
Wow. That is surprising to me. I really thought that they would likely get out of this stage within our lifetime, but what can I say? So give me your closing thought.
It could be wrong. You could be right and I could be wrong very easily.
Well, I tell you, here's the thing. You are of the party, so you know the people of the party more intimately than I do. So I would likely take your word over mine on that issue. Now, give me a closer. Let me know where do we go from here? I mean, I think we're in dire straits. I think we have sort of a false sense of where the economy is now. I think the economy is in much worse straits than one would think. What are your thoughts? Where do we go from here?
I'm with you, brother. I think we're crashing. And again, I love to remind everybody, Donald Trump was handed the strongest economy in the industrialized world by far. And he's wrecked it. He's crashed it. Even if he pulls back on some of his tariffs in the next month or two, a hell of a lot of damage has already been done. We are sniffing at a recession. Our economy contracted for the first time last quarter in 12, 15 years. We're in a lot of trouble. Instability. Small business people in this country cannot handle instability. That's where we are, and that's not going to change. Rough road ahead.
Unfortunately, again, the people that are going to pay the highest price are the people who used to vote for you.
Yes, completely. And look, again, only when they feel pain, and this saddens me to say this, my former brothers and sisters, they will not change until they feel pain. And even then, many of them won't, but many will.
You call them your former brothers and sisters. I hope they remain not your former, but just your indigent brother, not indigent, but your what is it? Your prodigal brothers and sisters that eventually somehow the prodigal brothers and sisters come around. Thank you so kindly, Joe Walsh. Folks, don't forget on Substack, Social Contract, the Social Contract podcast by Joe Walsh. Very good program. Check it out. He's on, and like I said, he's a conservative, but he's doing the job to really better the country. And coming from me, if I say that, that means a lot. Joe, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Hey, I love being on with you, my friend. Thank you.
Have a great one.
All right, folks, that's Joe Walsh. As he said in the beginning, he was one of the biggest dividers, biggest Tea Party guy. He used to fume, he used to send out flames, etc. You guys know what I believe. In fact, the first time that he came on my show, he actually pointed out that he came to a tone. He was atoning for he said he understood what he did as a divider, etc. And he wrote the book F Trump. You remember that book that he wrote a few years back? And like I said, the thing about politics, what's important is for us to have that flexibility. Everybody's not gonna think like you. Everybody's not gonna be it is just that way. You have to make alliances and do what you need to do. Now, Don, what Brother Rudnin said earlier, I want to read it because this is something that I'm working with our Democratic Party here in Harris County. And I think people who hold positions in the party need to make sure and do this. What is the word that I want to use? Intentionally. Intentionally. But I want to find what Rudnin said because I want to explore a little bit more of what he said that's important. Because a lot of people feel this way because for all practical purposes, it is true. I want to get to that he says, let's go and see if I can find it. He said, Egberto, establishment Democrats are very willing to work with never Trump conservatives, but they won't extend the same to progressives. The Democratic Party wants to be a center right party, focusing on incremental change and maintaining the status quo that won't work at all. Okay, let me qualify this. The Democratic Party, the establishment party, don't want to be center right. They are center right. They are really Republican light. That is what we like to call the center of the Democratic Party is a center right party, which in 1980, 1990 we would have called just a regular Republican. In fact, they are closer to Reagan than they are to Bernie Sanders by a landslide. That said, the only reason that occurs is because progressives have yet, and hear me out. This is not a knock on progressive. This is a knock on how we do things. We can't take our marbles and run, right? And we have to go beyond full funding that the corporatocracy gives to the establishment. What that also means is that we have to hang together. Let me give an example. In doing what I do as a progressive Democrat, etc., I have had instances where I disagreed with another progressive, and that became fatal. Not on my part, but I may have said the wrong thing, or even I may have brought a Joe Walsh on or whatever, and a lot of these guys think that he is, you should never establish that relationship, which I disagree with, right? And they just abandon you. So I am working with progressives right now in several alliances that we have, national and local, that says the following: I don't care if I agree with you. I don't care if I don't want to vote with you. But I also am going to give you the space that you come to me honestly and say, Egberto, even as you don't think this way, I need your vote on this issue, whether it is as I am a precinct chair. There are times that people ask me to do things that I don't necessarily want to do, but but because my fellow progressive feel strongly, more strongly than I feel not, that it needs to be done, I don't just pack my gear up and leave. I say, I have your back. And I think a lot of our progressive brothers and sisters, that is a place that we have to get to, because guess who've gotten there? The center right of the party, the neoliberals, also known as the neoliberals, they're there. They will band with progressives when they have to. They will band with, as my brother said, never Trumpers when they have to. What they do is they make sure the coalition wins. And that's what those of us that are progressives who represent the real heart of America, that is what we as well have to do. Our Tom Zarnick has a limerick that I must read. And after the limerick, I want you guys to listen to Tom Zarnick's call to the program this morning. So I haven't read the limerick, so this is the first read. If I make a mistake, forgive me. But Tom is our resident poet laureate. Let's go. Here is his new extended limerick. This one's nasty. Trumpers, cover your ears. Trump wants the Qatari gift of a flying palace so he can drink Diet Coke from a golden chalice and sit on a royal toilet in a $500 million jet, while down below, between sea and shining sea, from LA to DC and Detroit to Dallas, by order of puppy killer Kristi Noem, mass men of ICE the countryside roam, kidnapping kids and parents with malice. Why are they so cruel and callous? And what's the matter with our president? So obsessed with borders and orders executive, is he ill or demented, this White House resident? Like the Mad Hatter in the wonderful Wonderland of Alice? And though the suggestion of this question, White House resident, and I made a mistake there. And though the suggestion of this question makes me hesitant and squeamish, could a big, beautiful airplane be a substitute for a little brain or a tiny penis? And is it possible that anything can compensate for a life of cruelty and hate? So if ever you observe Air Force One flying high into an orange setting sun, do not fear, don't be jealous. You might instead give a big Bronx cheer and cry, for he's a flaccid old phallus, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny. So say all of us. Oh man, you are nasty. You are nasty, Mr. Zarnick. But you know we love you, Mr. Zarnick, but you're nasty. That was a good one, Zarnick. That was a good one. And you put both sides in, man. Anyway, let's see. Paul Fleming says, after his January 6th conviction, John Sullivan had to forfeit the $63,000 profit he made from selling his footage of the fatal shooting of rioter Ashley Babbitt. A federal judge just nixed the Justice Department effort to pay him back. Good. But Babbitt's parents got $5 million. Here it is. A woman trying to break into the Capitol, broke the glass to get into the Capitol. They are guarding the Capitol to protect the Congress people. The natural thing for that cop to do was to shoot anybody coming in to attack and harm these Congress people. And for that, for her getting killed for doing wrong, she gets $5 million. But what about all those people that were killed by cops that had a different hue, that weren't MAGA? Justice in America has never been blind. Justice in America isn't blind. But worse, to know that a small few pennies of my tax dollars are going to the woman who attempted to kill Congress people, that hurts. I don't want to hear anybody saying again, how can you use my tax dollars for something I don't want? Because God knows Ashley Babbitt got what she deserved. Ashley Babbitt got what she deserved. All right. Let's see. G. Baird says, "Oh my, I'm delighted to see AOC is the leading face of the Democratic Party." You know what? I don't know if she's going to run for president, but I'm delighted that we have a young, very intelligent woman running. I mean, not running, but being the face of the Democratic Party. There isn't a Republican that I can name that is smarter than AOC. And I'll tell you what, go read those transcripts from those committee meetings. AOC excels and outperforms any Republican who generally doesn't know what they're talking about. So let's be clear here. While you can make fun of, well, AOC, and whether AOC is the face of the party, I revere this woman. I interviewed her before she started, and I saw greatness in that young lady from before she became a congressperson. So let me tell you, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, I uplift them for representing the party. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, I uphold them for being the party. Ayanna Pressley, I uphold them for being the party. Yes, we have some great people. Kassar from Austin, I uphold them for being the party. That's the future of the Democratic Party. Those are the people who care about people. So while y'all can make fun and try to make it seem like these guys are too progressive to win, they land exactly where the people are. And after the destruction created by Donald Trump, I have a feeling more folks are going to be running towards her. So yes, thank you, Mr. Beard. I enjoy her being the lead of the party. LBW says, I truly believe that we need to form a common sense coalition, progressives, neoliberals, centrists, independents, anyone who is willing to see the regime for what it is. Oh, I agree. In fact, I think that's where we are going. Agolf Twitler said Rubio is both national security, national security, and security of Secretary of State. And today he didn't even know the foreign dignitaries that are meeting with Trump this week. But it's worse. There's a video that I'm going to do tomorrow that they called out Rubio and Trump for giving the Afrikaners advanced status to get to the United States, expedited status to get to the United States. They asked a very specific question. What about Sudan? Was Sudan ever offered expedited status for people that were getting stabbed, robbed, and killed? No. Was Eritrea given preferred status? No. Was Haiti during those attacks given preferred status? No. What's so special about the Afrikaners to get special status to come to the United States? And before anybody answers, anybody who answers that and said they're deserving, I can tell you, look in the mirror because you're pretty damn close to the big R. All right, LBW says James Tellerico. I love James Tellerico. Let me tell you, I've been trying to get, he's going to be a pastor, right? And I tried to get him on the show several times. I have a couple of representatives that know him that are attempting to get him to come to the show. But so far, we haven't been able to hook up to get him on. But I love the guy. I love what he represents. I love his honesty. I love that he's never scared to confront. You know what I mean, LBW? He's always ready to go. By the way, before I go to, I tell you what, let me do Zarnik first. Zarnik called into Tom Zarnik, the guy whose limerick I just read. He called into the program this morning. and he pointed out something that I want all MAGA folks to listen to, because your dollar is going to go a whole lot less, like he's realizing. Check it out. Tom, come on in. Is this Tom Zarnik, my brother from Michigan?
Yes, it is.
All right.
I have a poem, but I'll send you a poem this afternoon if I can get to it. I did write one recently, a limerick, but I got a question, and just an observation to begin with regarding tariffs. I know you talked about Walmart, Amazon. One of the things that I haven't heard mentioned too much is the Dollar Tree and the dollar stores. I was at the Dollar Tree the other day, and it was a shock. They had raised their prices from $1 to $1.25, which is fine, and they had some items that were a little more expensive. But when I went in there, I couldn't believe it. Almost all of the items that I normally shop for had gone up substantially in price. It shouldn't be called the Dollar Tree anymore. It should just be called just a regular store, because it doesn't give really many discounts. For example, we went in there to get a tube of toothpaste, which was normally $1, $1.25, a large tube, and they were all gone. There weren't any. They had large tubes of toothpaste for $5.
Wow.
Five from $1.25 to $5, and I noticed that the brands that they were carrying, they were off brands. They were all gone. The only ones they had was Colgate, and I thought, so they must have got rid of all the ones they were getting from different sources, and those are gone. I went over. We usually buy oatmeal cookies or ginger snaps for $1.25. Nice big assortment. Gone, all of them. All the cookies were gone. They just had these little bags of 2 ounces or 1 ounce bags of snacks all over, and they were $1.25. It was ridiculous. So I mean, you might as well go to a Walmart or another store. So I don't know what's going on. I'm looking all over the place, and all the prices have gone up. And I thought, well, I guess this is what we have to do with the tariffs. So it's not just a 10% or 30% increase. It could be, a 300-400% increase on some of these things. So
before you finish, I'm glad you said that, because I hadn't gone into a dollar store in a while. My wife would tell you, God, because every time I go into the store, I'm shocked. The other day, she sent me to get something at HEB, which is one of our big retailers here. And I came home and I said, Linda, do you know this costs XYZ? Linda's like, she just started laughing at me, right? Because it was like, I don't know if you remember when Bush went to the grocery store and they made fun of Bush because he didn't even know what a scanner was. Well, that was like,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing about it is, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think those people who are, and it's a lot of Trump voters and a lot of all of us who go into these dollar stores, they need to know that those doubling in prices, etc., is a direct result of what Donald Trump did. That was a self-inflicted wound on the people who shops there. What else is it that you're going to tell me, Tom?
Well, I was going to mention too that the price increases, but also product shrinkage is important to look at when you buy things. But the other thing was, I hope everybody really is aware that Trump did something recently that sounded really interesting and good. He wrote an executive order requiring, or at least asking, the pharmaceutical companies to lower drug prices within 30 days and give most favored nation, this is something interesting, most favored nation pricing, so that we could have the same prices that for prescription drugs that they get overseas. And this happened in Trump's previous administration. He did the same thing. I don't know if the executive order was exactly the same, but he promised to reduce drug prices. It never happened. So I'm hoping that people and either politicians and pundits and everybody else kind of hold his feet to the fire and tell everybody what's going on with drug prices after 30 days and say, okay, now where's the most favored nation pricing that we're supposed to get, and we're supposed to have he set up to a 90% decrease in prices for prescription drugs. I'm a little skeptical it's ever going to happen, but I think it's something that should be brought out, and if you're going to make a promise like that, you should keep it.
Now, it's interesting because I did cover that on a show a few days ago, and here's the deal. I read the entire executive order, and it's an executive order without any teeth. It was a PR stunt to get the news media to cover it, because what you find out, it is a suggestion to these companies that they do it. Read the executive orders right there at his whitehouse.gov. It is a suggestion that it's, if you look at what it says, it's a suggestion, and it says if they don't do it within, I think it was 30 days, I don't remember how many days,
30 days.
then
30 days.
Yeah, and then the Justice Department or one of the departments would go ahead and open an investigation. In other words, there was no shall in there that says you shall make your pricing exactly as it is overseas. But there is an interesting thing with that, Tom, right? Because if you believe in capitalism, right? If you believe in capitalism, the president should not have the right to do that. Okay, and this is where I come in with a bifurcated economy. If you believe in capitalism, what Donald Trump did to Walmart, saying you go eat the prices, or when he goes to Amazon and says that's what's called a controlled economy, which is what? A communist economy, right? Not even a socialist economy, a communist economy. And that is what he's doing, right? What he really should do is say we have a segment of our society that doesn't fall under the capitalist domain, and that particular segment are the things that are of critical need to people: drugs, medicine, healthcare, energy. There are certain parts of our economy we shouldn't leave at the whims of the capitalists. And then there are certain parts of our economy that it should be laissez-faire. You compete the best you can, and and that is, I think, that is where I think we have to be honest about having a failed economic system that purports itself to be free market, but really isn't. It's sort of, it's sort of a system that is just, we throw this here, we throw that here. But anything else, Tom?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Well, that was Mike Zarnick on that excellent conversation that we had this morning on prices. And now what I want to bring you guys is a piece at the hearing for the bill. I think you guys are going to find this enlightening. As I always say, Donald Trump has a knack of screwing his own. I want you to check this out, and then we will take it on the other side. Here we go, I think.
In 2031, anyone making less than 15,000 sees that. Check this out. I thought this was a mistake. I thought I was not reading this correctly. An increase in their taxes of 74.3%, and from 15,000 to 30,000 of 20.6%. Is that correct? Or is that, did you guys make a mistake, or is that
No mistake in the numbers.
The people at the lower income brackets are getting screwed over by a Republican majority that doesn't give a damn about them. I'm somebody that was supposed to not go to college. I ended up working at Subway and Target. I had zero health care. And to me, you would tell somebody in my place, you know what? We're helping you out. Just giving you a little bit. But the billionaires are the ones that make the most money and deserve the most help. That's your logic. But you all want to tout a tax plan that increases taxes on people making under $30,000 a year, the folks that are struggling, and then cutting their Medicaid on top of that. That's the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my life. The next page in 2031.
I haven't done the numbers, but I'm glad they did. But my God,
That is shameful, but it is always how these things work. All of the times. Okay, let's see. There's something you want for the screen. Let's see if I can get that onto the screen. Okay, let's go ahead and get that onto the screen. I think that is something that let's go ahead and let me go ahead and stop it first, and then I'll get it on. Bear with me a second, guys. When you guys give me some work to do, that's exactly what I get to do, some work. All right, let's go ahead and see if I can refresh this and get it going. Para ver, get it onto the screen. All right, let's do it again. You know what they say? Let's do it again.
Qatar. I could be a stupid person, say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
President Donald Trump has talked about this potential deal for a Qatari Boeing 747 to act as Air Force One, as a gesture, a gift from the Qatari royal family, which the U.S. would receive for free, he said. But sources tell my colleagues and me that it was the Trump administration that first made the outreach to Qatar after Trump came into office, that it is in fact the U.S. that made this request of Doha. The administration was told by Boeing, which is making the next generation of Air Force One planes, that the two planes would not arrive until 2027. Trump wanted something sooner, so the Pentagon, with the White House's backing, reached out to Qatar. Boeing had given the administration a list of possible planes that could work as Air Force One in the meantime, and Qatar had one of those planes. The president's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, he also helped facilitate these early meetings. The Pentagon then offered to buy the plane, and Qatar offered to sell it. Now, we're told, the lawyers are still hashing out the details, but the White House is still claiming that this is going to be a donation from Qatar, or as Trump wrote on Truth Social recently, a gift free of charge.
The government of Qatar, the Qatari family, has offered to donate this plane to the United States Air Force. This plane is not a personal donation or a gift to the President of the United States.
Trump had said that a Qatari official had told him, if I can help you, let me do that. Now, publicly, Qatar has not refuted Trump, and in his visit to Doha last week, everything went smoothly. But the real story is certainly more nuanced and different from how Trump and his aides have been telling it.
Of course, we know we have the liar in chief. Why do we ever, or we should never believe this guy? Again, he is the liar in chief. That's what we have. Anyhow, Patrick Magner, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, talk to me, my brother.
All right, I went and filled up the truck with rebar and wood that I use for work. What usually costs me between $400 and $450 cost me just under $600.
You're kidding me. What was the increase in price? The wood, right? The softwood?
Wood and rebar, iron rods. We drive those in the ground to monument boundary corners, and we set up on them for control and do things like that. But yeah, I mean that was getting to close to 30%, I think.
Now, what exactly did they give you as an excuse for that increase in price?
I didn't ask. I don't think they would know. That was just employees.
So they were set. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you go in and you buy a bundle of this and a bundle of that, and all those went up like by a third.
Wow, that is actually a huge increase, and that doesn't speak well for not only home construction, but home repairs. My deck needs repairing right now. I can't repair my deck right now with a 33% increase in the cost of material. It makes no sense, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, nobody's going to get in houses anymore except for the filthy rich.
Wow.
They're all going to be used to be rented to us. And
well, yeah.
I did the research you asked me for.
Yes. Did you send? I saw some emails from you. I haven't gotten it from to read it yet. Is it in the emails?
Yeah, I spammed you for about an hour last night.
Okay, I tell you what, give me a synopsis before I read it.
Okay. Ethanol as the footprint of water of ethanol versus refined crude is 70 times. So I'll have to use 70 times the amount of water to produce the same caloric value of ethanol as I would to refined crude. Water is more valuable than energy, in my opinion. If we are ever at a point where things really hit the fan and we have to go back to hunter and gatherer, we don't need crude. We need water. You can't eat crude, and you can't grow crops with just crude without water. Next, most of the large oil companies put a tremendous amount of research into algae.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried a bunch of different models. They've all walked away from them. They've never ever scaled up from what I read, they've never scaled up a algae that would be more than what a hectare of crops would be.
Wow.
And the successful ones have to be produced in a closed loop because they couldn't figure out how to keep other algae from blooming, and they need very specific algae that is high in oil. And in the closed loop, they use artificial lighting, and all the water never sees ambient air. It's all in a closed system, and the cost on oil they gave it in liters. At the bottom end was $2 per liter, and at the high end was $25 per liter. That would put the cost of producing algae-based crude at about $8 per gallon. That would be a $250 barrel.
Yeah.
Cost.
Well, but here's the deal, though. I think what we established yesterday. I think if I'm understanding what you're saying, you're providing the corroborating facts that we don't necessarily want to go into the conversion of plants into crude as the intermediary fuel. We probably want to go directly to electricity and storage because, again, electricity presents that complete abstraction layer, right? How you get the electricity, you can get the electricity from hydro, from solar, from wind, from wave, from thermal. There are a lot of ways to actually build an electric grid, and none of it has to be dependent on that crude. And in effect, I want you to think about this, Patrick, because I'm from all the things that you're telling me right now, right? My mind is going into overdrive, and I realize, wait a minute, what are we doing? We're taking solar energy to convert it into chlorophyll, etc., that eventually we then introduce another process to create crude out of it. So we're going through several levels to create crude to turn it back into energy again. Maybe we need to eliminate those steps and go from solar.
All those steps. Go ahead.
No, you please finish, sir.
I was going to say all that complexity, all those steps, all along the way, take up energy.
Right.
And now, if we lay out a solar farm or a wind farm, the first year we become energy positive.
Neutral,
I shouldn't say energy positive, but and that will never happen with biofuels. If I'm losing 25% of my caloric potential by using fossil fuels to grow corn, it makes no sense. It will compound. It will compound, and it'll always be an energy loser. The first year after I build a solar farm, I'm a net gain.
I think that is important concept, Patrick, to get out there. And I think the one that I just mentioned as well is important, right? Because we're turning solar energy into three forms to get to oil and then to burn again into energy. We probably should eliminate those three steps and just go from solar to storage
and it seems like a lot of the and tell me if you agree with this. A lot of what we should be working on in how to store electricity more efficiently.
I agree 100%. Well, as environmentalists and people that are concerned about the planet, we have to be worried about a capitalist that sees that they can cut down a forest and still make money, even though it's doing no good for us. So we need to dispel the quote unquote green technologies to promote the actual green technologies. There are people that are trying to make money off of this, even though it's not a good idea. And if you look through my emails, the Norwegian, most of the feminine countries have outlawed palm oil, and that's what we use to because of how fast it's driving deforestation.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
where
exactly.
Where we're putting these plantations, most of these people don't even drive cars. So we're destroying their pristine forests to produce something for us that they'll never even use.
But isn't that what capitalist countries do all of the times? We go into all these other places and damage them the way that we wouldn't damage our own country. All the time, that's what we do.
And that's exactly why I said that capitalism wouldn't allow a green version of this.
Exactly. And, Bruce said something. Bruce just printed something that I think people ought to understand. He says, we are consuming millions of years of sun storage, meaning that all that oil in the ground is that we are burning up so quickly. It's millions of years of storage to have attained that goal. So thank you. Hey, we're running out of time, Patrick. Thank you for your information as usual. All right.
Have a great day.
You too, my brother. And by the way, Paul, yes, the stuff that you print is very informative, and I thank you. Look, these things stay in the system, so whenever you guys find things of interest, good stories, whatever, do exactly what you're doing. Put them into the chat. Other people take advantage of that inside of the YouTube chat, Facebook chat, and all these other places. Look, we're at the end of the program, and I'm going to start closing shop now. We are. Let me see. No. I sometimes I mix. I do so many programs I forget which program I'm on. This is the afternoon program, not the morning program. All right. So I want to thank all of you guys for being here, but I also want to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to do so to please support our network. And when I say network, I mean the entire thing. We are not only doing 2 radio shows a day and including several lives sometimes a day. We're also writing several blogs a day, several articles. We condense some of these into TikToks, Instagram, Telegrams, all these different forms, YouTube Shorts, etc. Takes a lot of effort, and since right now this particular network is yours truly, me alone. It's a 16-hour workday, 7 days a week. I'd love to get some help, but I need to get 600 new subscribers so that I can start getting some part-time help. So I want to ask all of you to go ahead, whoever has the wherewithal, to a coffee to Politics Done Right. That's how much our subscription is, right? Less than a coffee. So if you have the wherewithal to do so, please consider going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and putting that in both chats, both the Substack and the other one. That will take you to my Substack registration page. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber, either a regular paid subscriber and if you're independently wealthy or have, you can become a charter member, whatever you can, because this is how we are going to make the change. This is not lucrative, but it is necessary. Not lucrative, but it is necessary to get the job done. So I ask you so kindly, support the program. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Our newsletter subsidize the whole shebang to make sure that we can continue to put the progressive message out, to put it into the terms of the right. We flood the zone because they are already flooding the zone.
Buller said, "You are what? Out, and we love you all." I got to get out of here. You are absolutely right, brother Bruce. My brother Bruce. I love that guy. I love that guy. Anyway, folks, we got to get out of here. So I thank you for being here. I love you all. You can email me directly at info@politicsdoneright.com. info@politicsdoneright.com. You can subscribe to our program, become a paid subscriber by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? What am I again? I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.